Welcome to the channel. In this video, I want to talk about how to check your oil and give you a quick tip to make your life easier. So right here, we got our 2019 F250. It's got the 6.2 liter V8. And the trick to check your oil is to wait till the vehicle's been sitting for 12 hours or so overnight. And before you start the vehicle, just pull your dipstick and see where the oil sits on the dipstick. And this is the most sure way to see how much oil is in your vehicle, because you haven't started it. You don't have to wait for it to settle. You don't have to wipe off the stick, which gets messy. And this lets you see exactly how much oil you have. Now once you start the vehicle, and it warms up, the oil level kind of changes. It goes up a little bit because it's warmer, because the fluid expands. Oil expands a lot with heat. And also, it's a little bit difficult because oil gets splashed around up in the tube. The oil gets contained in the upper parts of the heads, and it needs to settle for 5 to 10 minutes, maybe longer in some cases. So it always helps out just to pull your dipstick before you even start the vehicle, after it's been sitting for overnight. Usually maybe a couple hours is okay, but overnight, because all the oil just drains back down and it really gives you an accurate reading, and it lets you know how much oil you're consuming. And on new vehicles, you have to be aware that all the new manufacturers, for the most part, especially concerning the big three, they're dealing with some oil consumption issues right now. Not every vehicle is consuming oil, but some are. My 2015 F250 before this truck consumed oil, and it did get fixed under warranty. It ended up being the valve cover baffle for the crankcase ventilation system. Something was wrong with that. They replaced the baffle. They replaced the whole entire valve cover, and then the baffle was integrated into the valve cover, and that solved the issue. But that vehicle did consume a considerable amount of oil. Technically, it wasn't enough oil being consumed for them to replace the motor, but it definitely ruined the spark plugs at 15,000 miles. It had 16 burnt out black spark plugs. So that's a quick tip. You want to check your oil on your new trucks, even though this truck only has 7,000 miles on it, and it does use a little bit of oil technically, not a whole lot, but I would think that for a 6.2 liter V8, that the amount of oil that it's using is normal. And just pulling this out for the second time, you can see how the oil gets on the dipstick tube just from being pulled out. That first pull after it's been sitting for 12 hours gives you the most accurate oil level check that you can really get. But these manufacturers dealing with these oil consumption issues is a big problem. But this truck, how much oil is it using? Very little, and I would call that normal. It probably had a little bit more in it when it got changed, and this truck is due for an oil change, which brings up an interesting point. A lot of people think that you can't put full synthetic oil in these trucks. This truck, at 2,500 miles, got an oil change for full synthetic oil, with full synthetic oil. And here we are at almost 8,000 miles, and we're not burning any oil. And a lot of people will tell you that you can't do that. You're going to cause the rings to not seat, and all different kind of myths and things like that. What I would recommend is to at least wait 500 miles before doing anything to your oil. Just leave the factory oil that comes from the assembly line. Use that oil, whatever they put. It could be full synthetic, it could be synthetic blend. Generally speaking, it's going to at least be a synthetic blend. Just leave that in it for the first 500 miles, and then after that, you're probably okay to change it to whatever you want, whatever full synthetic that you want, whatever 100% synthetic oil like an AMSOIL that you want. after that initial 500 miles. Whatever break-in, technically speaking, there's not a whole lot of ring seating that goes on, but the manuals do say do not use a friction modifier for the first 500 miles. That's not technically what a full synthetic oil is. I think what they're describing when they talk about friction modifier is the Lucas additives and things like that. They don't want that in their engines at all. Their new vehicles, they don't want that in their engine specifically for the first 500 miles. Now, after 500 miles, you could probably go ahead and put your full synthetic in there and be fine. You'd probably be fine from 0 miles, but minimum 500, I would think. For me, I did 2,000 miles on the truck, 2,500 miles or so on the truck, and then switched to full synthetic oil with no negative effects. So that goes to show these oil consumption issues are not related to full synthetic oil. It's not related to the idea that full synthetic oil does not allow the rings to seat properly. Because truck that I had before, it burned oil. It wasn't the oil. It wasn't the fault of the rings. It ended up being something with the crankcase ventilation. So anyway, guys, that's it for the video. Comment below. Hope to hear from you soon. Thanks for watching. Here's a shot of our 2019 Super Duty. It's been putting in work for us, doing really well. And thanks for watching. Comment below and hope to hear from you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.